We ready? Who ready? We ready? Who ready? We ready? Who ready? We ready? Motivation to youth only. Mentally feel like Kobe. I'm like Jokic with the rock. You physically couldn't hold me. I don't care if you pushing 40. You can never little bro me. Euro step like Ginobili. From young OG to the OG. From nosebleeds to floor seats. Circle stronger than Cuban links. My gold dance, your gold plated. You verse me, now that's a reach. We ready? Who ready?
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the One-on-One Sports Show here on the Black Man Unfiltered Network. I'm Mr. Bennett, joined by my OG, my Gen X brother. The coach is in the building tonight, waiting for our brother Shawnee to get here. Our brother Dante will not be with us tonight. Ironically, he will not be here tonight, despite the fact that his one of his favorite sports teams has certainly broken the internet with the news. So we're going to certainly get into that tonight. But certainly wanted to, hopefully everything's going well with him and his family. So again, wait for Shawnee to come up, and we're just going to chop it up tonight. But first and foremost, Coach, how are you doing, sir?
What's up, Brother Bennett? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Loud and clear.
Good, man. I feel good, man. It's midweek. I'm feeling good, man. So I'm just excited, man, to see how we approach these topics today.
Yeah, I think it's going to be pretty varied since we're coming down to the end of the NBA Finals, which obviously we'll get into. Certainly as the show will commence, we'll talk about that. For those of you who saw the banner coming in, obviously BMU can't wait for this Finals to be over. So that's very apparent throughout this conversation, even though we've seen some pretty good basketball. But he's not having any part of it. Shout out to those folks coming into the building tonight. Shout out to Catellia. Again, good to have you in here tonight. Good to see you as always. And so I'm going to have some fun tonight. I'm going to drop some different subjects in. So we're about to go into that I always call that lull. So there's a couple lulls that happen in sports. So there's the lull after the Super Bowl. There's the lull after the NBA Finals, and then you got to get into baseball a little bit, but then football kind of kicks in. So you kind of got these lulls here. So this might be one. So this will give us a chance in the next few weeks, assuming that the NBA Finals is going to be over. Of course, get on, talk about different subjects, that might be just, random events going on in the sports world. Maybe talk a little boxing, a little, combat sports and whatnot. So it's going to be across the board tonight, but obviously we're going to start off with the breaking news that really hit. So again, the Los Angeles Lakers, certainly bought by Dr. Jerry Buss back in 1979 for about like $76 million. He bought it from the owner, I forget, Jack Kent Cooke, who owned the Lakers for a lot of years. He also was known for owning the then called Washington Redskins as well. So, certainly bought for, again, about $76 million. And today, the Jeannie Buss, his daughter, sold the team to the current owner, or certainly the managing partner and owner group of the LA Dodgers. I think they also own the LA Sparks. So again, very familiar, very comfortable with the Los Angeles sports scene, and him and his partner group, they are going to own the Los Angeles Lakers, and this represents the largest sale of a sports franchise in the world ever. So, and it's interesting because the Celtics back in March, they sold their majority interest in the Celtics to another venture capitalist. And, certainly that broke the bank then. That was the largest sale of an American sports team at $6.1 billion. And it could have been worth a lot more if the Celtics had ownership of some of their revenue generators. Like, they don't own the stadium that they're in. They don't own that. I think the Boston Bruins do. So, so certainly, in terms of revenue streams, they don't have as many revenue streams as the Lakers do. And so I think that probably went into the valuation as well. But this is a big event. I mean, certainly Coach and I were around at the start, 1979. You had Bird and Magic coming out of college. had the highest rated NCAA final of all time. And certainly we know what happened after that with the Celtics and the Lakers. So it seems like they're still competing. And certainly the Lakers outsold the Celtics. So Coach, what are your thoughts on this, again, blockbuster move? What do you think this means for the Lakers? And again, there might be some consequences to that. Shout out to our guy, Lou Medic. Haven't seen you for a while, brother. It's good to see you as always in the building. Appreciate you being here tonight. But yes, the Magic Man is back in the building. So again, the guy who owns the Dodgers, Magic Johnson, is part of that ownership group. And we also know, even though on paper, even though the Buss family is supposed to still, quote unquote, run the team, apparently, certainly because, I think Rob Pelinka and Magic Johnson didn't get along. So if Magic Johnson is also a part of this ownership group, I, again, don't know quite sure all the details. But again, could this mean a change to the GM position? Given that Magic's in the building, will he take over and be the GM? We have no idea, but a lot of things there. So, Coach, what are your initial thoughts? And shout out to Shawnee being in the building tonight. Good to see you, brother. So, your opening thoughts are on this mega sale, and what repercussions this is going to have.
I'm a bit surprised, that they're doing it now, but $10 billion, yeah. Probably make anybody want to sell. I don't know, man. They just, it's like they pass it off to who got the highest bid, who got the most money. Now, I don't know if these guys are really into basketball, but I expect changes. LeBron is on his way out. Maybe this will probably be his final year now that he's gotten other conversations about his rings. But so it's just going to be interesting to see. I think the team is going to make some changes after this season. But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know what to say, man. I wish I had a tenth of the stake in the team.
A minority stake in it. Yeah, I think you would have been pretty.
If I have 10 shares in the team, I'd be happy right now. But
yeah,
it's unfortunate. I think it's going to be as far as the team, it's hard to say because the NBA it goes up and down, from year to year, and the teams, without LeBron on the team and Luka, I don't know if he's going to be disciplined enough to be the face of the team. So it's going to be interesting how they build with the new ownership. It's going to be interesting.
Right. Shawnee, once again, good evening to you. And, your thoughts on the trade. Also, for those who are coming in, make sure you hit the like button. Certainly, as you come in tonight, and again, consider dropping a cash app, certainly to the Black Man Unfiltered Network, a super chat to the Black Man Unfiltered Network, and certainly if you appreciate what we're doing individually, certainly we appreciate your cash apps as well. So go ahead, Shawnee.
Can y'all hear me okay?
You're a little low. If you can boost it up a notch.
How about now?
It's a little better, I think. Right, Coach? I think it's a little better.
Yeah, it's good. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I was actually surprised that the Lakers, the owner, he's currently owner of the Dodgers, and I guess he said, okay, let me go to another LA franchise and become majority owner. I think they sold 66%, something like that. So I'm thinking it may be similar to how the Mavs, when Cuban sold the team, and he kept a small percentage, which makes sense. You don't want to just outright sell it unless you just want to, you don't want no deal with the team anymore. But I was surprised just because the Lakers are a mainstay franchise. Dr. Buss bought the team back in '79. The Celtics, which coincidentally both of these teams were sold this spring.
Yeah. We talked about it just before you came up. Yep.
Yeah, so I guess people just don't want the NBA teams no more, especially these mainstays.
Mm-hmm.
But the Lakers are in those. What surprised me because they're in that family business ownership, similar to like when Dr. Buss passed away, you automatically knew it was just going to stay with his kids, and then Jeannie Buss was taking over, and then I don't know if she has kids or not, but whoever's next in line was it's gonna stand up. It's gonna stand the family. I remember I mentioned something about that about the Cowboys back then. I was like, why would Jerry sell the
Okay,
Cowboys?
so the over under was 5 minutes, Coach. Before Shawnee brought up the Cowboys, so again we were taking wages over and under as 5 minutes. So he had to mention the cat. Now we're gonna get it from the chat. Oh, y'all talking about the Cowboys again? So I
Man,
thought the over under was 5. So I think I won the bet.
this was related because it's basically
I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
because I was bringing them up because if I was Jerry, I'm not expecting Jerry to sell the team. I'm expecting pass to his kids. It's that type of franchise,
Mm.
like the Bears. The Bears, the Hallis family, they owned that franchise. I think it was since '63. So the Lakers was up there basically like it was a family-owned business, and you're not going to sell it because it's just passed through generations amongst the family. And so I was surprised that they did that. So, but hey, I guess if estimate it worth $10 billion,
Yeah, so
curious
that
what
what
made her
that
want
does,
to sell the
I
team.
will ask this since you are the resident Cowboy fans. Do you think Jerry has a price? If somebody came with 15, if the Lakers went for 10, in fact, I got the next slide here, talking about just the valuations of some of these teams. Now, this was from January of 2025. So these are considered the estimated value of all these franchises. So again, the Lakers, they broke the bank today, 10.1 when they were valued at 7.1 billion earlier. Cowboys are also the most profitable team. So let's just say if Jerry's mind, if he's saying if the Lakers could get 7.1 and my team makes almost a $500 million a year in profit, then could he get 15, 20 bill if some Saudi guy came over? Now, again, I don't know how that, obviously people have to approve the sale of these teams with the NFL, but if somebody came over and offered him that, do you think he has a buyout price where they would make him an offer he couldn't refuse? And just kind of go through the top 10 franchises here. So the Giants, Manchester United. So these are, again, profitable franchises that are making money, which, like I said earlier, the Celtics aren't on here because of one, again, they don't earn a huge profit, and next year they're going to have like $500 million in salaries. So, the Celtics, certainly, they're going to have to work some things out because those guys are all about the dollar at that, with that sale. But I just wanted to kind of cover some of this first in terms of the profitability. But you can go ahead, Shawnee. I just wanted to.
I'm surprised Edmonton. I did not know Edmonton Oilers was valued that high.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it's like that's the best team in Canada, and I just heard today that Canada they haven't won the Stanley Cup in over 30 years.
Don't leave, man. I got it covered. I'm waiting for my man Anton to show up, so we're gonna cover that, man. So don't get ahead of the show.
But I can't say Jerry doesn't have a price. If the number's high enough, but because with the Lakers, Jeannie, I think, took over the team, took over the franchise in honor of her dad because she wanted to make sure it was ran correctly. But she wasn't. She had a GM. She hired Palinka, and she hired people to do their jobs per se, and she only stepped in when she needed to. Jerry, I believe, he's just too involved. He is cat. You know how, it was a scandal that pushed him out, but how much of a darling WWE was to Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
Never thought he was going to sell that, but he was basically forced out to sell it. I think Jerry is in that same boat because it's just, he literally, as far as what they are today, he was responsible for that. He got his family in high position. Now, that's Jerry. Now, if once his time is called, he is getting up there in age, and it goes down to his sons. I think in particular, maybe Stephen Jones. Well, I know Steve's gonna be working the money. I don't know who's gonna be the sole person in charge, but once his kids own the team, now that is the X factor. They may ultimately want to sell it.
Mm-hmm.
Jerry, no. but Jerry doesn't have that that much longer to be on the earth. Once it
Right.
goes down to his kids, they
Well, it's interesting you mentioned that because I think that factors in what some of these similar issues. So you figure Jerry is close to his kids and his family, so legacy means a lot to him. You look at the McMahons in the WWE, Stephanie and his son, they're out. Like they left when all that scandal stuff broke. They have like no connection. They may still own shares, but it's almost like Vince ran them out of the business. So, so I don't think they have really an interest, or Vince wasn't even thinking about, oh, I want Shane and Steph to run the company one day. He's kind of like a little, megalomaniac that way. He didn't care about, what their interests were or leaving something to them. It was like it was like either him or nothing. So they had long gone, long before even those scandals broke out. And then for the Lakers, remember there was some issues with Jeannie and her brother. I think her brother was tried to brought in, and so there was a lot of drama between those two. And even though she was like technically like the senior partner, she basically kicked her brother out
she was
from
letting him run it for a little bit.
yeah, and but that caused some friction and whatnot. So again, you don't know what the state of that relationship is. So I don't think the family integrity is going to matter as much to the Lakers, just like it doesn't matter to the McMahons. But I think with Jerry, I think you are right that certainly family ties are certainly closer, at least in his mind, and he would probably want to leave that in the family. But I would say, look, if someone came with 15 for the
Yeah,
Cowboys,
like you can't say there's no price because, like I say, if there's a price that somebody like hell, we just talked about Lakers potentially sold for $10 billion. So
yeah,
if somebody have a deep enough paycheck, you
yeah.
know, they they will. But the Jones family, I don't hear anything, no beef among them. They don't
Yeah,
we don't
yeah.
really
So
hear about them at
that's what
all.
I think would make that different. And again, would have probably increased the price tag even more so. Because if it was just like a lot of family drama, it's like I don't want to do no more than Jerry probably just a short sale just to get out of the whole thing. You know what I mean? So I think
Mhm.
that's definitely a different situation. But yeah, we'll see how this pans out. We'll see if Magic Johnson makes an appearance back. We'll see if that shakes up the front office. As again, Genie is supposedly still be running the team with Rob Pelinka, but who knows? I know him and Magic had beef in the past, and so will this be an opportunity for Magic Johnson to re-enter the building in a managerial type of role? We'll have to see. But what's your thoughts on that, real quick, Sean? I don't think I got that for you.
Oh, so yeah, Magic, he's a minority owner of the Dodgers.
Right.
I heard somebody mention it on the radio. As of now, Magic is not involved in the Lakers ownership. Like you say, who knows? It remains to be seen if he'll be. He always gonna have love for the franchise,
Correct.
but I guess if they decide to make it, he probably won't really get involved unless some change in management
Right.
per se. Like he's with that group, but I don't know his if he actually put something in Lakers ownership. He may just right now just be strictly Dodgers and the Commanders. We know he's invested in those two teams.
Right.
Lakers is just basically
But
you know
again, if the new owner, Mark Walter is his name, if he said, "Look, I want you to be the GM," I mean, because again, with any kind of purchase, any kind of takeover, there's bound to be some changes. So if he came in and said, "Look, Magic, I want you to run the Lakers," you think he would turn that down?
GM. I can't really see Magic as a GM. Not what's that? The president. I
Hmm.
could see him potentially be that.
Hmm.
And I think he'll hire a GM who kind of fits his vision. But the constant, GM and constantly, talking to agents and whatnot, I think he'll go up a little bit. I think he'll be like a Pat Riley.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if he does come back to the Lakers in some form, I think he can be in the Pat Riley. The Pat Riley is the president of the Heat. So I
Right.
think Magic
Right.
could be there. GM, I think it just be a little bit too much. GM would have to report to him.
Yeah, well, but might be a little more detailed. Coach, what's your thoughts on that? If Magic Johnson was asked, do you think he would come back and either be president of the Lakers or the GM role? GM might be a little bit more a bit too technical because then you got to get into the minutia of contracts and details, and I don't know if he's as detail oriented like that. But as team president, do you think he would take that on?
Nope. I don't think he'll be a part of it all. He had his opportunities before. I don't think he has too much other stuff going on, and his emotions are attached to basketball.
Right.
And that's why he stepped away before, because he knew he couldn't handle it. So I don't see him doing it. Not at this point. What is it? 15 years later.
Right. But again, he was there. Again, I thought the issue was he had frictions with Pelinka over, and I think what happened then, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think there were some promises that were made in terms of how he was going to run things.
He was supposed to fire Luke Walton, he couldn't do it. That was the reason why he stepped away. He's like, oh, it's too much. He couldn't do it. He didn't want to fire.
Right. Gotcha. All right. Well, we're gonna keep it in. We're gonna keep it in Lakerland. Again, that's why I wish Dante was here, because again, we're talking. I got you. Hey, number love him, but certainly LeBron James is certainly in the news again. I guess he had a podcast of his, and he started talking for some reason about rings, and so one of the quotes was, "The ring is a team accomplishment." I don't know why ring culture is discussed so much in our game. It's weird to me. I don't know what made him say that. Now, again, I could see if he was kind of salty, if he was one of those great players who never won a ring or maybe won one or two rings, I can kind of see where the sentiment would be coming from. But I know this had, a lot of people talking about this earlier. So again, Coach, what's your thoughts on, on it? And I think his points was that there's been a lot of great players in sports that have never won a championship, but nonetheless deserve to be on the Mount Rushmore players. So I know he mentioned Barry Bonds, who in his view is the greatest baseball player of all time. I mean, people, can certainly discuss and debate that, steroid era or not. He talked about Allen Iverson. I mean, there were just a few names he dropped. But I think we've had conversations certainly on the show in the past about, the importance of rings. We certainly heard, Shawnee with the Slights talking about the San Antonio guy, the guy that got 6 rings, who got, but
seven rings.
7 rings. Excuse me. Robert Horry. So you got the Robert Horry case. But then you got the Bill Russell case. So, again, is it about the rings or is it about the accomplishments or whatever? So, again, what was your thoughts, Coach, on LeBron's comments? And where do you fall on the whole rings conversation? I also find it ironic he basically left Cleveland to certainly go get a ring. So, I guess he was part of that for a while. So, it's almost like, well, why are you being a little bit hypocritical here? You took the shortcut, so to speak, to go chase not 5, not 6, not 7, and now you're kind of salty on the whole ring conversation. So Coach, what was your thoughts on his comments, and how do you just look at the whole rings versus personal stats accomplishments? How do you weigh that when you measure the greatness of a player? There have been obviously a lot of awesome players. I think you mentioned Barry Sanders. I think I would probably even mention someone like Gale Sayers. Great players, but never even sniffed a ring. So where do you land on that, Coach?
LeBron know his career is coming to an end, and he's going to always be compared to Jordan. So he's getting ahead of the conversations on his podcast. He's a cracker, baby. He's always looking for sympathy and empathy.
Oh,
listen,
man.
He knows what he's up against. And unfortunately, in basketball, they judge you by the rings. Every player we say is the GOAT, they have the championships to go with it. So he's going, it's all a setup. Like I said, this will probably be his last year. Once the season started, he'll probably make that announcement. And he understands what the conversation's about. He knows he's not going to surpass Jordan. He knows that. That's why it's a team sport now. He should have said that when he was at Cleveland. He should have never left. But he went to go get a championship. He thought he had more.
Yep.
And he's at the end. We may not get one. So it's just a team sport. You don't have to judge. And we all know with the great players of the past, playing against Jordan, they didn't get a championship. But none of them was still coming out, it's not that important. No, he knows exactly what he's doing, if you ask me. So shut up and come on over here on YouTube like everybody else and try to avoid that conversation because people going to have a conversation. So.
Absolutely. Shawnee, what was your thoughts on LeBron's comments? Being a little bit salty, or did he have a point to make?
Well, on the surface, I can see what he's talking about because I always felt, and especially in team sports, there's so much that has to, go right for your team to win a championship. Um, I think with him, because I always believe personally, that I think LeBron James is the most scrutinized professional athlete I ever saw. I cannot remember any other player in sports history, American sports history, that has been scrutinized as much as LeBron James. So even when he has success, because remember he went to what, 9 straight NBA titles.
Yeah, I think it was 8 straight consecutive. Yeah, I mean, that was
Was it? Well, 8 or 9,
yeah.
because he got that one. Cause what? No, four with Miami, four at Cleveland, one with LA.
But that wasn't consecutive though. I don't think,
Yeah, he
right?
went to like he
Yeah, it
went to
was 8.
like
Yeah, it was 8.
seven,
That was
Yeah,
eight
that
it
was
in a
was 8
row.
consecutive.
But he when Jordan and the Bulls was playing, they were the team to beat during the whole Jordan era. They were the team to beat, and this was before players was moving all around all the time. If a player happened to move, it was usually at the end of their career when they created these super teams, like But for the most part, they stayed on a team that drafted them for a good chunk of their career. So the Bulls did a good job of drafting Jordan, and then very good job of drafting Pippen, and then they was able to do their thing, they first three-peat, and then once they got Dennis Rodman, it gave them a cheat code to do their second three-peat. So that they were the team to beat. LeBron, only time he was the team to beat was with Miami. That's why, when people talk about the Miami years, they still give them fleck of that first title that he lost against the Mavericks because you was technically the better team then, and you got beaten 6 by the Mavs. They don't really mention too much about the fourth year that won the second time they played San Antonio because Dwayne Wade got injured and San Antonio was the better team coming in. So they kind of gave him, they was San Antonio was on a mission that year. They had that that shocking defeat the the season before when Ray Allen hit that +3, and that next season they was on a mission that nobody was going to beat that team. And so that was Miami years. Then when he came back to Cleveland, all of a sudden Golden State pops up on the scene, and they became the juggernaut. And it was just LeBron was doing his thing, but the Golden State just had too much going on. It was just you know, LeBron's team just not, besides that first title, because remember that first time they played Golden State, LeBron didn't have Kyrie or Love.
Yeah,
So like,
yeah,
okay, you get a pass from that. You don't really have your two best players with you to play against this dominant squad.
yeah.
Then they beat them the next year, and then it just got worse once they got KD. So I just think many times, people just because it's constantly getting compared to Jordan, that the ring chasing, even though he did go to different teams to chase a ring, he pretty much the originator of this super team era. But like I say, go back, I think he's the most scrutinized player I could ever remember. I mean, he gets judged on every single thing. So I think that's why. I mean, I just remember, yeah, you went to 8, 9 straight NBA finals. You only have 4 rings, You know, you like normally that's a that'd be a hell of a career. But since since it's LeBron, and you looking at him as one of the top two players before he passed Kareem in the points. But many it was always debate of Jordan and LeBron, and because he didn't win any more rings, that was always a notch that people held against him. Um, Kobe had his five, but Kobe, you know, had Shaq for three of them, and then people forget how good Paul Gasol was back then. That's when
Mhm.
he started winning his next title. So I mean, and the Lakers were the team to beat. The Cavs, they just didn't have a stretch where they were the team to beat. It was just Golden State. So I can see where he's getting at,
Mhm.
but it's LeBron, and I
Well,
almost kind of see.
let me ask you this. BMU just brought it up to both of you guys. Is the fairer comparison then to Kobe? Would you take Kobe over LeBron for a career? Is that more where the conversation needs to go versus MJ?
I just think, LeBron is. I think LeBron is the most skillful player than both of them. But he's just like if you look at a video game, his skill set is longer. But for Kobe and Jordan, their primary thing was scoring and defense. LeBron was scoring, defense, passing, and so on. So they are excellent players. I think Kobe is more like LeBron because of his style of play. That's just the obvious point. LeBron doesn't play like either one of them. So yeah, I mean,
But if you're going to draft, so you're in the draft.
if I was going to draft, I would still draft LeBron
Mhm.
because he was the complete package. Uh, LeBron had think about LeBron. LeBron literally had the weight on his shoulders as soon as he stepped into the NBA. Kobe had time to literally sit on the bench for a little bit or, just play behind somebody. LeBron literally came into the NBA and here you go, keys to the franchise, do this. And he was delivering for a little bit. I think it took him a while, like Stephen Avery bringing this up, it took LeBron a while to develop that killer instinct. Because you remember he was early in his career, he was getting criticized for passing, passing, passing. And then he developed. Jordan and Kobe had that.
Mhm.
Even before Kobe became the Kobe that everybody loves today, he always had that mindset. But yeah, I would still take LeBron just because, with Kobe, if you just want an ultimate score, you get Kobe. Because I remember back when people was complaining about Kobe during his heyday, because he was ball hogging. So
Yeah, very inefficient. Yeah.
he had his naysayers then too, and but
But let's
they
be
they
real though. Hold on.
Go ahead, Coach, and then we have a guest in the building tonight. So, but go ahead, Coach. Get your.
Okay, LeBron never had a Shaq. Hell, Shaq is three players in one. He ain't have LeBron never had that. So the fact that Kobe came in, and he was just an average, below average player. Shaq come in, draw some attention. You get Phil Jackson. There you go. LeBron, he came in averaging 25. What are we talking about? As a player, this is what he was doing. He didn't have a supporting cast. If he had had a Shaq, then I see LeBron maybe close to Jordan. I see him with 5 or 6 if he had had a Shaq coming in. But he came in, the one-man show.
But to Shawnee's point, he did have he won with Pau Gasol and a totally different squad.
That was years later though, after he's
right. You know what I'm saying? But he still did that.
But early on though, he didn't have that. He came in, he was a bench player.
This is blasphemy.
25.
First of all, welcome to the show as always. Certainly the head of this whole thing who put this together. Appreciate your brother. Black Man Unfiltered in the building tonight. Welcome, sir.
This is blasphemy, Brother Bennett. This is blasphemy on so many levels. They said they scrutinized LeBron the most because LeBron came into the league and he's very passive. He doesn't have that dog. He doesn't have, LeBron hurts his toe. He's out for 6 weeks. Kobe hurts his toe. He plays 2 more games. It's just like, Kobe break his finger. He pop it back in place, go back and play. Jordan get a cut across his head. He get back out there and play. 6 championships for Jordan, 5 for Kobe. You could just tell who the dogs are. And if it wasn't, now think about this. There's 2 things here. He had to leave his first wife and marry another woman in order to get success. He had to leave Cavalicia. He had to leave Cavalicia and go over to Miana. And
hold on, but he was getting to Cleveland because Cleveland wasn't really. They wasn't like the Lakers. Yeah, the Lakers was actively building the squad for Kobe. That's when they made the move to get Gasol. Cleveland wasn't doing that during LeBron's first time. He was just basically, these are players you have, and LeBron would say, "Hey man, give me more players," but Cleveland wasn't doing that for him, so he just got frustrated.
And this is why he's not Jordan, because Jordan, no matter when he first got in there, his team was shit, but Jordan made the people around him better. And a lot of people didn't like his antics and the way he did it. But if you go watch the Last Dance, what did his ex-teammates say? He was an asshole. But now looking back on it, we thank God for that asshole.
But Jordan he didn't experience playoff success until they drafted Pippen.
Right.
Remember, Jordan was like LeBron. Remember when LeBron scored 25 straight points versus the Pistons one whole season. LeBron, like Jordan, they were doing their thing. The teammates couldn't keep up with the other team. They was better teams. But the Bulls, they drafted Pippen, and that's when the Bulls just started rising. The Cavs never drafted nobody of that nature for LeBron.
So LeBron, let's talk about it. So LeBron, he got a ring with the Lakers, which was a sickness ring, right? He got a COVID ring, which I don't count. And then if we take COVID and we take Ray Allen out of the scenario, he has 1. He has 1.
Okay, but you can also say that about obviously Jordan would not have 1.
Steve Kerr won 2. Yeah. Well, Steve Kerr and then John Paxson won another before.
And that's the thing that when it comes to because it's a team sport. I mean, the main players are going to do what they can to keep their team in the game, but them other dudes get paid too. Look, Robert Horry gave Kobe some clutch shots. Everybody knows Horry, that clutch shot he made versus the Kings. That's a legendary shot. So there's teammates of these iconic players. They're not even superstars. Kobe, LeBron, and Jordan, they icons. They like the game doesn't change because of them. But they also had teammates on their respective teams that delivered them a huge game that enabled them to go forth and win a title.
Every time I get one of these videos, I tag Brother Bennett in it because it gives me chills to see. Mr. Bennett, I don't know if you've seen the last one I sent you when Mike they were down by 15 points.
Yeah.
And the guy was talking shit to Mike. Yeah, you got a bad night tonight, huh? Mike scored 22 points in 4 minutes. Listen, this is what I'm talking about. And they end up winning the game. This is what I'm talking about. Those type of games when Kobe told his whole team, get the fuck out of my way. I'm going to get these 24 points. And he got them. You have never seen LeBron take over a game like that ever.
All right, so let me ask the question then, because I asked Shawnee, Coach, I didn't get your answer on SBMU. You're drafting. So go back to 2000. Well, I know Kobe came in the league in 96, 97, right?
Yeah.
96,
So,
96.
all right. So again, let's just hypothetical. It's the draft. You're taking for career. You're taking Kobe or LeBron.
I'm taking Kobe.
Okay.
Now let me add this.
I'm taking LeBron.
Now, are we looking at this? Are we looking at this
LeBron
as how we view players now?
Yeah.
Or how we view players back when they was coming out of high school. Because remember, they didn't go to college. They both came out of high school. So I think many times people are looking at this, after Kobe's career and LeBron now. But if you talking about in high school, it's no contest. LeBron come out of high school looking at as probably the greatest high school player, high school prospect coming into the NBA. Kobe
Yes, sir.
was doing his thing in Philly or whatnot, but he was nowhere.
Well, again,
on the
I'm
level
saying
of LeBron.
for a career.
Yeah,
Okay, so we're looking at it.
Kobe.
Okay, after their
Kobe.
career.
Kobe.
Yeah.
And you know why? You know why, Kobe? Because you know Kobe gonna give it to you. This man had a torn meniscus and went to the free throw line and shot 2 shots. Listen, Mr. Ben, I think I sent you that video too, where
Yeah.
he shot the 2 shots and they showed all the other players that had the same injury. They were in wheelchairs.
Yeah.
But remember,
You know, Kobe.
but remember, LeBron. I mean, obviously, he really didn't suffer no huge injuries until he got older, like 38. So, okay, now everybody says, okay, you old enough. Remember, LeBron was looked at almost like an Iron Man. Like he was not getting hurt. So I can't really compare that to LeBron because okay, Kobe, you fighting through injuries. LeBron wasn't fighting through it. That was the thing about
But
LeBron.
Shawnee, you forgetting one thing though, Shawnee. You're forgetting the fact that Kobe and Jordan, they didn't have no rest nights. They played 72 games a year. They didn't have no rest night. They played. They played. They didn't sit out no games and rested.
I don't think LeBron had a lot of games. No, LeBron didn't sit out either, though. No, he was not. No, certainly in the last 5 years, you've had this load management stuff come up, but no, LeBron was very durable.
So LeBron wasn't doing load management?
No.
Oh God!
His first years.
His first 10 years, he never took off.
LeBron didn't really get into load management until his body started kind of breaking down a little bit because he was older. He was already like 36 plus.
Right.
But his early years, no. LeBron was an Iron Man. That was
very
how old was Kobe when he retired?
Kobe,
about 36,
37.
And that's when Kobe's body, remember before then, it was starting to break down. LeBron, he's already 40 now, right?
Listen.
Mm-hmm.
And look at finesse, and he listen. He can make me get on his ass now. Cause listen, listen, man.
Tell Finesse get on here, man. Tell Finesse come on.
Listen, bro. What people don't understand is, man. Do you want Lawrence Taylor? Do you want? Let me give you a football example so I can give a comparison. Do you want Lawrence Taylor, or do you want the linebackers that play today? I mean, Lawrence Taylor played with broken arm. He played with hurt, played ankle, foot. What I'm saying is these guys were just built different. They were built different. Kobe was built different. Jordan was built different. You couldn't break them.
BMU.
You couldn't break them.
Go ahead, Coach.
BMU, okay.
LeBron James scrubbed his toe. He out for 3 weeks.
No,
that's not true. That's not. Well, you can say a lot of things about his passivity, even in the passive in the All-Star game. I remember vividly in one of his first All-Star games when everybody was giving it to him because he wouldn't take the shots. Obviously, he didn't participate in the slam dunk contest like Jordan did. So obviously, there's some things you could certainly be critical of LeBron but durability, at least certainly for that first 10, 12 years, you cannot say that was one of them. He was a very durable player for a long time.
He quit during the Lakers. I mean, he quit during the Mavericks. And then do you think just for 1 minute that Jordan's teammate will sleep with his mama? Or do you think that Kobe's teammate will sleep with his mama? Listen. What I'm saying to you is, bro, you don't hear, when LeBron retires, you will not hear any stories about LeBron getting on a plane and telling everybody on the team, ain't nobody eating tonight because you didn't play.
Yeah, but you didn't also hear LeBron. You didn't hear LeBron talking about sleeping with somebody at some resort in some camp, doing some stuff.
Okay, you might as well, Mr. Bennett. You might as well because all his.
Look, no, don't do that. You haven't heard nothing.
Let me say this. You might as well, Mr. Bennett. Why? Because all the people that was beating his ass, he on a banana boat with him in Jamaica. Did you ever see Charles Barkley and Michael Jordan on a banana boat?
None of that has to do with basketball.
BMU, listen, man. Okay, let's look at Kobe.
Hold on. Who said it ain't got nothing to do with basketball? Listen, it does because Michael Jordan did not go out with his enemies. He wasn't on banana boats with the enemy. Stop it, man.
Michael Jordan
because LeBron is like a different. LeBron is more inclusive.
He's soft.
Jordan was feared.
Exactly. Thank you, Sonny.
You can go look at what's that podcast? All the Smoke, and when they interviewed, it was J.R. Ryder, and KG, Kevin Garnett, and how KG was all of a sudden he
Yeah.
just started mouthing off at Jordan, and Jordan wasn't really saying anything. Ryder heard him, and he came to Jordan and like, "Hey man, don't even worry about Young Buck, man. Don't even worry about it. He not he don't mean nothing. He don't mean no harm." And then Jordan went on and just killed him after that.
Come
But
on,
Jordan
man.
had a fear factor, but that's the only thing I can
Shawnee,
admit that.
how many times
No.
LeBron went to the opposing team's locker room and say, "I'm gonna put 40 on your ass tonight"?
LeBron
Listen.
has a more
Listen,
he has a
bro,
more
you just-
inclusive.
Listen,
personality.
well, like I said, I would rather do a Kobe LeBron since one, they played in the same era pretty much. I mean, they played against each other. Jordan never played any bad. He played Kobe in '96. He was already towards the end of his career. So I think a Kobe LeBron is a fair comparison. I think a couple guys here saying they would take Kobe over LeBron and vice versa. Finesse Visions. What's your thought? Seems like you would lean
Hold on,
towards.
time out. I'm still trying to get over this thing, right? Kobe, he wasn't shit till Shaq got there. What are
Oh,
you talking
talk the
about?
bullshit.
He was averaging 16, 17 points. If LeBron had Shaq early in his career at Cleveland, it would have been 4 or 5 championships possibly in a row. What are we talking about?
Oh, stop!
Kobe
Hey! If what
And when
if was a
Shaq
fifth,
left,
if
when
what if
Shaq-
was a fifth, we all be drunk. Listen,
when Shaq left, what happened?
he didn't
happened?
make his
He
team
didn't
better.
do nothing.
He
They didn't
did
do
when he
nothing.
got Paul Gasol. Paul Gasol like a half-turn werewolf. When he got
That was
Paul
years
Gasol in
later.
there, Paul Gasol
That was
helped him
years
win
later.
another one.
So he needed help. He needed help. What are we
LeBron,
talking
okay,
about?
and LeBron, but they didn't leave their.
LeBron
LeBron. Hold on. LeBron left. LeBron said, "I can't win in
They
Cleveland.
let his
So I'm gonna
hold on.
leave. I'm
No,
gonna leave Cleveland.
no,
and I'm gonna go to."
No, BMU. They let his contract.
Yeah, you say he
expire.
divorced.
Hold on. They let his contract.
Yeah, and you
expire.
say he
I've never
divorced his
heard of
team,
that.
but I mean, he took that girl. What you call her, Clevelandisha? What you call her?
Clavisha.
Okay, so he took her to the ball. He took her to the dances and everything. She just wasn't going to do anything for him. She wasn't high value for him. He took her as high value. He made her high value, and he
Okay,
couldn't do
Mr.
anything with
Bennett.
it. So he went for
Hold on,
somebody
Mr.
else.
Bennett. But then Kobe and Jordan do the same thing. They met the girl. She really wasn't shit. And he had to build overtime, had to mold her and shape her, and he stayed right with her.
No,
He
well,
just
look,
stayed
I
right
can't
with
look.
her.
Coaches
I think
pointed.
they
No,
never
coaches
let
pointed
their
out. No, you
contracts
get Shaq. Shaq is going to increase everything, especially back then. So you can't. No,
But you
if
forget one
Cleveland
thing,
would have pulled the Shaq move, then that we'd be talking about something totally different.
But then
You can't- you
Shaq,
can't deny that.
and LeBron play together.
In Miami, Shaq was all
When he was like 40 years old, 350 pounds,
his
man.
last 2 weeks.
Well, now we're making excuses. They play
at the
together.
time,
But you got
Shaq was
Shaq could
at
barely
the time,
move.
Yeah,
Shaq played with
At
the
the time, Shaq was
Celtics.
Lakers, he was the best
He
player
couldn't
in
get
the
off the
NBA.
bench.
but Black man, you forgetting one key thing though. 'Cause remember when LeBron first left Cleveland? Remember I said he left Cleveland because Cleveland would not put a team around him.
They didn't
That's
renew
why he
his
said
contract. What
Kobe-
are you talking about?
Kobe threatened to he asked to be traded from the Lakers unless they put in 2007. Yeah, hey,
Why
you're not
is-
gonna if you're not
That's when
gonna
they brought
improve the
Gasol
roster.
in and those other guys.
Exactly. So Kobe was about to do the same path, but the Lakers said, "Hold on," here, and they immediately improved the roster. Cleveland didn't do that, so LeBron like, all right. Then that's when he started talking to Dwayne Wade. At the time, Carmelo was ultimately ended up being boss to go somewhere, and it was ultimately Miami. So Kobe was looking at that path because he was getting frustrated at the lack of roster improvement that the Lakers was doing at the time. But they said, okay, they gave in. That's when they made the move to get Gasol. Kobe sent Gasol a text message in Spanish saying, let's go win this title, which they ultimately did. So
Let me ask you this, Mr. Ben. Let me ask you this.
Black
2
man,
minutes.
real
Oh,
quick.
let me ask you this. Then, Hunter Watch, you can say what you want to say. 'Cause I know it's going to be blasphemy. Listen, if it's 2 minutes left in the game and you down by 12, are you going to? And you going
Kobe.
to?
Now, look, I give you that. I like I said, certainly for a career, for his grind for a career, I may lean LeBron. He can guard positions 1 through 4. I mean, especially early on those days, you could put him on your best plays, shut him down. I don't know if Kobe certainly is a great defensive player. I don't think you could put him on all 4. He was like Scottie Pippen back then, but a bigger, stronger version of him. So again, he had a lot of things going on, a lot of physical attributes that you can't teach. And certainly, certainly he did not have that mentality. I will grant you that. I was disappointed of his lack of participation in the slam dunk contest and all those things. So yeah, all the knocks you want to give on him is valid. But again, Kobe, as much as he won, he would shoot you into a game. He would shoot you out of a game. So again, not as efficient as Jordan or LeBron in terms of scoring. That night he scored like 80 points. It was just like, we're just gonna give him the ball, and he just let him just. In that one game towards the end of his career, where I mean, nobody was playing. You saw that last game he went off for like 50 points or whatever. I mean, nobody. So yeah, they say, all right, just let him do it. It's his last game. Just let him do it.
It was 60, Mr. Bennett. Don't be.
It was 60. It was 60. But I'm just saying, everybody, the opposing team, nobody guarded him. He just went off, and they said, you know what, just a farewell. Just let him do what he does, and let him get out. But again, I would lean LeBron. But again, if you're gonna nuance it and say the last 2 minutes or the last 5 minutes of a game, yeah, give me Kobe for a career. Give me LeBron. If I'm drafting today and I can see, okay, I got these two guys, and we didn't even talk about what if LeBron had Phil Jackson. Now again, if he had Phil Jackson as a coach, because that coaching carousel in Cleveland and whatnot as well. Give me LeBron for a career. But if you're going to put him in with Shaq and you're going to give me Phil Jackson on top of that, you might be talking about, he might have Bill Russell numbers, 11 championships by now.
Oh, hell no.
You got to look
as long as Phil don't call his friends hoodlums, then they're going to get along just fine.
And guess what?
So
go ahead. I want to hear this blast.
Question. I'm curious. So we don't have any negative thoughts about Michael taking a year off to go play another sport. That's not a negative.
Man, that was for his dead daddy.
And now, man, that makes him even
stop. That's what he was on bereavement.
Listen,
he had some off the court things going on.
The only reason I understand. I'm just talking in terms of like the Iron Man, like, because he dragging LeBron for taking a game or two off. Because this motherfucker's carrying the whole team. Anyway, I personally think that like the scenario does matter. If we're talking about the Lakers drafting, then why would you not draft LeBron over Kobe? Because if you get LeBron, you don't need Shaq. Like you have to get more. You have to acquire more to help Kobe versus LeBron. Man, he went game 7 with Dellavedova. Dellavedova, my man was missing Kyrie and Kevin Love and still made it to game 7 with Dellavedova.
That was game. It was game 6. Was it 7?
6. I'm sorry, I apologize. Game 6.
So we're not going to talk about who Kobe had. We're not going to talk about that team Kobe had when Gasol was there. Go down the roster. You go down the roster.
But before Gasol there,
when they won the championship. When they won the championship. Derek Fisher was almost a fish. He was always almost done. Right? We're going to talk about Derek Fisher.
He was drafted with Kobe. They came in the same draft class.
Exactly. Listen. Go down the list of people other than Gasol that helped Kobe get that championship.
Okay. So Derek Fisher cancels out Ray Allen. What's next?
Okay. No. I'm talking to you. Go down the list. Who was on that roster when they won the championship?
Yeah, Trevor Ariza, Andrew Bynum. They had Lamar Odom, Sasha Wojcik, Luke Walton. Yeah, wasn't a great team. Like I said, I give him more credit for the second run, certainly versus the first one. So again, I give him that.
But the thing about them,
you got no argument.
But Kobe
Luke
had a
Walton, 100 watts. Luke Walton, 100 watts.
He
won a championship with Luke.
Number 2 player with Gasol, because people forget Gasol was a hell of a player. So he had a legit 1-2 combo. And then he had a nice, cast of role players. They ain't like everybody wasn't an all-star, but they had a good team. That was the thing about LeBron. It was LeBron, and who was the second best player after? Was it Eric? No.
Man, it was what's his name? The center.
It was I forgot. I know. He had like
Chris Mim. You had Mbinga. I mean, you had
he was a guard.
They had three 7-footers on that team: Gasol, Mbinga, and Mim on that team.
I was about to say Kobe was the first person to win a championship with a crackhead, with Odom, but then I thought about Dennis Rodman in Chicago. So I think LeBron was missing a crackhead because Kobe won with a
He had
crackhead.
what's his name? No, LeBron had what? Devontae. What's his name?
Yeah, the one that slept with his mama.
I don't know if he was a crackhead, but he probably in that same realm.
Yeah, Kobe had a good center. Jordan had a good player in Pippen, and he also had they also had crackheads that helped him, but they was cocaine addicts. So I mean, I don't know what Hunter Watts is talking about right now.
Go ahead, Andre.
I'm saying that the question that was asked, if you're drafting LeBron or Kobe, I think that it is a clear choice to draft LeBron over Kobe. I think that it is a clear choice in terms of building a team, in terms of creating a championship legacy. It makes complete sense to go with LeBron over Kobe, especially if you're adding Phil Jackson as a head coach. In terms of basketball IQ, basketball decisions, on the court, all of that, I'm always going to go with LeBron over Kobe. You've never heard of LeBron being a ball hog. Even if the person he passes to misses the shot, he's going to make whatever the basketball play is. And sometimes when you make the basketball play, you're going to make the play that doesn't go in the bucket. Like, that's just how that goes.
You know what Michael Jordan would tell you right now, Hunter Watts? You know what Michael Jordan would tell you right now? And Kobe would tell you right now if he was here, God bless his soul. You know what he would say to you? We're not choosing morals over winning. If I get the ball, like Shaq said at his funeral, he said, ain't no I in team. Right? And what did Kobe say back to him? It's a me in that motherfucker, though. See, this is what I'm saying. This is why he won 5 championships, brother. I'm trying to tell you, he did it with Shaq, and then he rebuilt the team, and he did it with Paul Gasol and Luke Walton. Jesus Christ. I would rather Luke Walton daddy play with Kobe than the son. He really didn't do anything. He won with that team. There was a bunch of nothing.
So cool. If you want to bring up off the court stuff, because you was bringing up off the court stuff, cool. Let's go there. If I want to go off the court, who do I want to teach my son how to play like? I don't want to teach my son to play like the player that's disrespecting his whole team to try and get this fucking championship.
Like Michael? So you disagree with Mike?
That's not how I'm going to teach my son how to play the game.
Oh, okay.
If we're gonna go there, like that, I understand. Like
you have a house full of participation trophies.
That stuff that should be cool to say. Like, oh, he was an asshole, but they won. Like, that'd be cool to say. But come on, dog. Like, for real,
you're gonna have a house full of participation trophies.
Okay, and
because you gotta have that. Because you gotta have. You know why? Because let me tell you something. I had to tell my son. His son go out.
Has as many championships as he has.
So, let's go local. I told my son that I said, son, go out, shake hands, have sportsman be sportsman. Shake hands, do all this other stuff. Don't you don't gotta talk a lot of trash. Even though that's embedded in me, talk some shit, but don't talk a lot of trash, son. Just go out there and play your game. My son went out there all calm, cool, collect. That goddamn boy started catching them balls over his head, talking shit. You ain't me. I'm him. You what are you? You nothing. My son, I say, son, fight back. Hell, everything I told you. Get it out of you. Start over. Fight back. Say something. Get it done. And my son was a better player. When my son could get out there and play a cornerback and not get a head tapped every goddamn play because he was exerting the same energy the other dude was. I mean, look, you can look around sports. Deion Sanders talk shit. He was fighting people. Deion Sanders, LT, all these players, they would not be great if they weren't selfish.
Are you going to tell me that Kobe is anywhere comparable defensively to LeBron James?
Absolutely.
Are you? What?
How many defensive players of the year does LeBron have? I rest my case, Your Honor. I asked for the case to be dismissed. How many defensive players of the year does LeBron have?
Kobe was a hell of a
look, just for stats, Kobe is a 12-time all defensive defensive player.
And LeBron
first team, right?
First team, and then LeBron. Let me get his.
It ain't much, Mr. Benny. You got to go far.
Six-time, half as many.
Oh, okay. And we don't want to pull up Jordan shit because that's really going to embarrass him.
Now I'll concede that he does have more defensive awards. What
you get defensive player of the year and MVP in the same year. Oh God, Jesus.
I will concede that award has been given more. I will concede that. I personally, in terms of watching these two players play, in terms of where you can put LeBron defensively, I personally find him to be a better piece defensively than Kobe. Personally,
12
watching the game, when I watch the shit on TV, I find LeBron to be a better piece defensively than Kobe.
You want $12,000 or $6,000?
Say it again.
You want $12,000 or $6,000?
That's an easy question. I definitely understand it. That's
I put it like this because Kobe's main responsibility on the Lakers was obviously to score. So he scored. He had the ball in his hands a lot, majority of the time, but he wasn't always getting the offense set. Pretty much when the ball got into his hands, it stuck in his hands, and he was going to shoot the ball. LeBron has more responsibility on offense.
Mm-hmm.
So I think once, obviously, his usage rate on offense was just ridiculous. So when that goes to the other side, yes, some of your defense is gonna get compromised because you're just doing so much offensively. So when it comes to that, I can see why LeBron's defensive accolades, because he was always a good defensive player, but I think I can remember, because it's when he was Miami, he was a defensive monster. And I thought he was going to win Defensive Player of the Year, but they gave it to Marc Gasol. And I still don't know why. You had to go through the defensive metrics to see that. But I think it was when he went back to Cleveland, and it was really, okay, LeBron, you take us there, that he had to kind of sacrifice some defensive responsibility because he was doing so much on offense. I still remember that time when I didn't even think he was going. I think Toronto was the number one seed in the East, and he still went through Toronto just to get swept by the Warriors and Durant. But yeah, I mean they both obviously both iconic players, but I just can't. When both of those dudes came out of high school, it was no. I mean, you thought Wemby was the unicorn that everybody wanted when he came out a couple of seasons ago. LeBron was just nobody. I don't think any high school player had this type of national.
Yeah, you didn't have ESPN going to high school games to watch player. That's
it was
sure.
ridiculous how much they do. So
yeah. And for the most part, like I said, he didn't have necessarily that killer instinct, but to live up with that pressure coming out, I think he did a pretty decent job with it. But again, for him clapping though, just back to the original subject, the fact that he's clapping about guys not having rings or whatnot. Look, like I said, there have been great players who don't have rings. I mean, Barry Sanders is easily in my top 5 greatest running backs of all time, and he only has no Super Bowl appearances, let alone rings. But I certainly think that certainly that point in of itself. But I don't think LeBron should be the one to necessarily make it, especially the fact that he actually did go to another team to try to acquire rings. So for him to then make the argument against rings, I think it's a bit self-serving. But moving on to the next block, and
one last thing, Mr. Ben, I just see this comment that Peter put in about Jordan was the better businessman, Kobe was the better player, hands down. Outside the player thing, I just want to focus on the businessman thing. Jordan's main success business-wise obviously was his shoe. He got some other, things, his Gatorade endorsements and whatnot. But obviously with Jordan is his shoe and his, sports apparel. But a better businessman, 'cause majority of that stuff happened after his career outside the shoes, because obviously that was during his career, but during his playing time. LeBron, though, I think ain't LeBron already worth $1 billion because of his business? So I don't, and this is while he's playing. This dude is at business,
Listen, first of all, credit Mrs. Jordan, because she was the one who brokered that sneaker deal with Nike. So, I think she gets a lot of credit for that. I don't know if Jordan was so much about the business while he was playing. I think a lot of things were kind of done for him. His agent, Peter Falk, certainly was instrumental in that. LeBron, I mean, not only did he, succeed in business, he built it. I mean, he brought his guys with him, Maverick Carter and those guys. He kind of brought and he built this sports base with these guys. That he grew up with. It wasn't his mom who got it for him. So I think as far as big business acumen, it could be argued. And then what's going to happen after LeBron leaves the game? What ventures that he's going to potentially get into as well. So I think that story's still being written. But I would say this. I mean, certainly when Jordan was there, he was without question he was the number one athlete in terms of marketability. He had McDonald's commercials. He had Coke commercials. The Be Like Mike ads. He was just, in his shoe, which transformed the game because everybody was wearing Converses. The guys weren't really wearing Nikes like that. He made people wear Nike, and they became a global brand after that. So I think, you can go tit for tat, I think, with that argument as well. But certainly LeBron, I think his story's still being written in terms of what he's getting into. And a lot of these guys, they're getting into stuff beyond basketball. A lot of these guys have IT companies. They're heavily invested in Silicon Valley and all these other entities. So we'll have to, certainly that's certainly to be determined. Certainly Jordan set the bar like no other athlete. Muhammad Ali, none of these guys were the marketing arm that he was. Not even Joe Namath. If you wanted to say like an early guy, Joe Namath, Broadway Joe. He was certainly a pioneer when it came to that. I'm just saying, but at the time, I'm saying back in the time, he was what the NFL is team oriented. What that was, they didn't want divas. Joe Namath was wearing fur coats. Joe Namath was doing pantyhose commercials. Joe Namath was doing all kinds of stuff that was a precedent at the time that nobody even saw before. And again, he was, certainly he definitely helped to popularize the NFL. His record as a quarterback wasn't that great. If you look at his stats, I don't think he's a Hall of Famer, quite frankly. But certainly from a marketing perspective and what he did for the NFL, I don't think that can be certainly debated. But because we have Anton in tonight, who's an avid hockey fan, first and foremost, I want to congratulate the Florida Panthers for winning the NHL back-to-back, from what I understand, NHL championships. Certainly, I don't know if it's too early to start the dynasty talk, but one interesting stat that I did find from the NHL that I didn't know, because again, I don't follow hockey that hard, but considering that Canada is the home of hockey, it's the birthplace of hockey, and it's the last team to win an NHL championship was 32 years ago. The Montreal Canadiens, especially given back in the day with how dominant they were in Edmonton before the Rangers started winning it with Gretzky. So this is certainly something I found an interesting stat. And again, I don't know if you guys are really into hockey, but I can imagine it being a Canadian hockey fan and seeing the championship drought from the place that originated the sport. Certainly, that would be something that would be very frustrating as a fan. But I just saw this as a stat, and I just wanted to bring that up. Again, this is for Anton, who says that we never talk about hockey. But I did say I would have a stat on this achievement. And there's been teams, Vancouver, Ottawa, and Winnipeg, that have never won a championship. And certainly there, and with the expansion of the sport, certainly into the United States and not in Canada. I don't think we've had any new teams. Teams might have come from Canada to the States, but certainly, yes, 1993. But it's been 32 years, bro. So again, if you're a Canadian hockey fan, the only thing you really have looking forward to is beating Team USA, maybe in the Olympics or something like that. But certainly from the NHL perspective, and again, we also saw early on the certainly Edmonton is certainly one of the most profitable sports franchises in terms of profitability. But they still haven't been able to get the chip. From what I saw of this series, I thought that the Florida was dominant. I mean, I think Edmonton had to have some heroic kind of comebacks and whatnot, being 3 goals down, 4 goals down to come back to even make it competitive. But just like what we're seeing now with OKC and with Indiana, which we're going to get into the next segment on, it just looks like they're just better than everybody else. And so again, certainly a very deserving win for certainly for Florida. But if you guys have any comments on this before we slide off of this and get into the NBA Finals, which again is another favorite topic of BMU's, but we're going to talk about that a little bit as well. But any comments on this topic, or Anton, if you had anything? So the last team to relocate to the United States from United States to Canada, Atlanta Thrashers, become the Winnipeg Jets. Yeah, but again, certainly no wins for the home team in quite some time. So I'd just be curious to know. Drop the link. All right, I'll put it out there for you. Again, I'm going to put this link out solely for Anton to come up. We're going to move on to the NBA Finals, and we'll come back. We'll come back to this since this is the main topic of the night. But Anton, I'm going to put the link in the chat, and only you come up, and then we'll close that. Well, we won't be accepting anyone else up on the show tonight. So just give me a minute to do that. But as we get into the NBA Finals, so obviously, Indiana going into Game 5 had a commanding. I'm sorry, it was Game 4. Had in position for 3.5 quarters to have a commanding 3-1 lead in this series, and then everybody started switching their bets. I think everybody here chose OKC to win this final, and it looked like for 3.5 quarters, the last 6-7 minutes of that game, they had things under control, and then they just stopped scoring. Scored 17 points in the fourth quarter, and lost a game that folks say that they could have won, and the rest is history. We saw the dominance here. So the question tonight is, what were your thoughts on certainly the last 2 games, and do you think it ends in Indiana tomorrow night? So let's start with the coach. What were your thoughts on the game, and what do you think the outcome of the series is going to be? Can Indiana push it to a Game 7?
No, it's over. Ellenberger, he's not 100%. You can see the energy of the team shift. Jalen Williams has picked this game up. He understands what needs to be done to win it. Like me and Shawnee said, 6. It's over. They're going to celebrate in Indy, the capital of basketball. So, yeah, it's over. Ellenberger, I don't know what his condition is. What his status is unclear right now, but, yeah.
He's game time decision.
It's over. It's over. You can go on.
Yeah, but he's been gone for a minute, though. So it's definitely been a struggle for him. Finesse Visions, your thoughts on the series so far? What do you think the outcome's going to be? Can Indiana push it to a Game 7, especially if Halliburton isn't there? What do you think? What do you think their prospects are going forward?
I think that this series is better basketball than people are giving it credit for. I think this is great basketball to watch. People have gotten way too used to shooting 43s a game and everything being from beyond the arc and shooting from the logo and stuff. This is the type of basketball that I love seeing. Because even in the games where you get to halftime and somebody's up by 20 points, the game is still not over, right? This is NBA Finals basketball. This is what you think of when you think of NBA Finals basketball. No matter where the game is, somebody always has a chance. So I think this series is definitely not getting the credit that it's due. But Oklahoma City has played fast. They've played hard. They've played with everything. I think that Indiana was a great matchup for them because they are deep in a sense of being able to throw height at Oklahoma City. But the chemistry that they have, the skill level they have, the way that they move, the transition offense that they play, Oklahoma City is a complete team, and I think that they are definitely walking into a window of being very dangerous in the West.
Gotcha. Shawnee?
Well, I got several points about it because, like Finesse said, I believe this has been some very good basketball, but because it's 2 smaller market teams, Black man, he's not fond about it because of the I guess lack of huge names. But I mean, if you like the sport of basketball, you know the players that's playing. I guess it's just not huge markets or whatnot. But before the series started, I predicted OKC in 5. That was obviously ruined after Game 1. You know, if I believe if they would have won game one, they would have closed us out in 5. They went on, I, I already give Indiana game 3 because a lot of times, the home team they be filled with emotions. But OKC went on one game 2, one game 4, ultimately 5. But I was like, but it was still gonna be close games. I believe, and that's the thing about with the media. If you remember before the season started, they didn't give Indiana a chance. They just basically, if you pay attention to the odds and all that, the odds was just so heavily favor OKC. I'm like, that's why they play the game on the court. Like we say in football, that's why they play. We settle it on the grass because all that noise, the media, players don't listen to that. All they know, as soon as they come on the court, they compete. And I think I believe these two teams are very equal. It's just I gave OKC the edge because they have the star power, in particular Alexander, and whenever Williams decides to show up. So I believe that I was thinking that was going to give them the the edge. Indiana, you really don't know who will show up because a lot of times it's Halliburton and Siakam, but many times Indiana made these comebacks. It wasn't led by them two. It was Obi Toppin making 5 3-pointers in game one. You already know what happened in game one against the Knicks with Neesmith. Somebody starts getting hot. Game 5, it was almost TJ McConnell.
Yeah.
They had no answer for that dude. And I believe in game 5, that probably would have been a different game if Carlisle, because you look at Halliburton, you're like, he's not 100%.
Right.
So they should have, okay, Halliburton, you just sit this down because TJ was cooking. Who knows how that game, because it was with TJ was on the court that they got down, make it all the way down, be down by 2 points. So I believe these are two equally skilled teams and whatnot, but I just believe OKC has the players to push them over the edge. But it's been a very entertaining series to me. Indiana is a very good 3-point shooting team. That's why they've been able to stay in these games, no matter when OKC go on a run. But OKC, they can shoot the 3, but it's not their strength. Their strength is forcing turnovers and then ultimately giving the ball to SGA or Williams and let them do their thing.
Right.
But yeah, it's.
Let me ask you: Would you actually just shut down? I mean, I know they're talking about MRIs or whatnot, but absolutely scratch for Game 6 and just go with, McConnell and
I probably
Nembhard.
will because they playing in Indiana. Maybe if they was playing at OKC, you may try to test it. But with Indiana, you already know the role players are going to be getting a boost. And maybe who knows, if they playing, they in the game, maybe you can insert him in the last fourth quarter or something if he's willing to play, if he's able to play. But yeah, I mean, you just I'll try to keep him on the bench as long as possible and then just try to go for a game 7. Your role players will get a shot in the arm for playing at home. Again, this means TJ McConnell because it's not like Halliburton been playing super well throughout the game. It's just the closing of games is when he shined. You kind of worry about, besides game 3, when everybody was scoring on the Pacers, you kind of worry, okay, Halliburton, where you at? But TJ has been consistently getting OKC problem because that penetration dribble he does. He's a monster with that. So
did Boston win the game after Tatum got injured?
No.
They did not. Okay.
He was going off.
And they were down in the series. Yeah, it was almost like inevitable. They couldn't win with Tatum. They couldn't win without him. So
you're not on when the crowd that will try to point when they lost Tatum. That's when the series.
No, because they were down. I mean, in a few of those games they were up 20, but they were shooting 25% from 3, jacking up 63s a game, and only making 20% of the 3-pointers. So again, they shot themselves into the lead and then shot themselves out of it. They didn't, play half court, and it was just, that was a disaster. So, but yeah, certainly I think that I do think that Indiana can push a game 6. And certainly I think OKC closed it out in Game 7. Again, been a very entertaining series. Good quality basketball. To Finesse's point earlier about how you want to teach people how to play basketball, how you play defense, how you spread the ball, how you play a deep bench or whatnot. So certainly, if you're a coach or teaching someone basketball, it's definitely something certainly worth watching. And certainly looking forward to Game 6. Certainly tomorrow night. Again, got the link out there for Anton. So Anton, if you want to join the show in the next, we're starting to wind down the show. So if you want to come up prior to the show ending, certainly there's a window here. So just a couple topics, like I said, next few weeks, certainly as if the series ends this week, we'll have some shots. We can just have some open conversations about all kinds of sports topics that people want to talk about and whatnot. But I heard this conversation being debated on a show early, and it kind of got my attention, so I kind of wanted to raise it here. So we've talked in the last few weeks about what it means to be a superstar. So we've talked about ratings, we talk about numbers, we're talking about drawing eyeballs to the games, and certainly there seems to have been we identified who the superstars of the NBA are. Certainly at this time, and they typically are still the same guys that have been there forever. So LeBron, KD, Steph, those seem to be the only superstars. We already said SGA is not a superstar. Halliburton is definitely proving he's not a superstar yet. So again, we're asking the question, who's going to be the next superstar? Nobody can identify it. So again, the question is, and assuming these guys, KD, he may play a little bit longer, but LeBron next year, it could be his last year. Steph, he could certainly be stepping off the stage also. So again, who could be the superstar of American sports? Also, a lot of the best players in the NBA are foreign-born players. So who is considered in American sports a superstar? So people were talking about Caitlin Clark. She just came off an injury in the last 2 games, 52 points, 15 assists, 11 threes. So is she, when we talk about American sports icons, from a marketing standpoint and everything else, will she be left standing as the only? And if, who would you say right now? Now, a lot of guys will say NFL. They'll say Patrick Mahomes. Quite frankly, I don't see a lot of the Patrick Mahomes love out there. As great as he is, the only guys I'll be seeing talk about Patrick Mahomes is Kansas City fans. Same thing with Buffalo Bills fans, or certainly if you're a Ravens fan, with Lamar Jackson. And I don't know if I would necessarily call him a superstar in the NFL. Might be a different metric for those guys, how it's measured. But this was a debate coming up. I didn't necessarily know where the final discussion ran, but I just thought this would be an interesting topic. That we've seen that the effect of Caitlin Clark on the WNBA. You can't even get who's considered the best WNBA player. She can't even get love from BET to be voted the best sportswoman of the year. They give it to a decent player, but someone who has more media following than anything. But is she actually increasing the attendance of the league? So if you can't get your best players to do it, is Caitlin Clark, once these guys step off the stage who we identify as superstars, will she be essentially the only American superstar? So who do you see? NASCAR, I'm sorry, as big as NASCAR is, those guys don't draw nationally, even though it's a very loyal fan base. Hockey, we just saw. Who's next? So again, I'll just pass it around. And I'm looking at the faces now, but let's chop it up for a minute on this and ask, after these guys step off the stage, who's next? Americans now, not foreign, international, American properties. Who do you think is if not her, then who else? So Archie Manning. He's
You got to play on the field first.
I know.
He's got played in 2 games.
I'm talking shit. No, but see, I understand why that question is there, because KD, LeBron, Steph, those are superstars. But they've been in the league for 15, 20 plus years. Like, these dudes have established themselves in a way. So you can't compare them. You can't compare what they've done to SGA, Ja Morant, and Edwards. Like, it's hard to do that. Caitlin, like, she has come in a way where, like, she's affected her
sport in a way where no one's going to be doing that for a while. Like there's no one that's going to affect their sport in a way that she is affecting her sport. So in terms of that, then yeah, that's pretty much what we got, big dog.
I was kind of rolling my eyes a little bit, but they were making some fair points. I mean, for what we define the criteria, eyeballs, attendance, media, all these women now getting shoe deals. Is it the Clark effect? So, Shawnee, what do you think about that?
I mean, because obviously this is not just we talking about Caitlin Clark or whatnot. We talking about superstar that's basically equivalent to being a face of a particular sport. I know we on several occasions we had discussions on trying to find who would be the next face of the NBA after LeBron, KD, and Steph is gone, and we still haven't determined an answer for that.
Right.
We don't know. So, I thought Edwards had some room to potentially ultimately take that spot, but a lot of time when it comes to this conversation, it's the last thing you've done that people will bring up. And Edwards' last thing versus OKC wasn't, worthy of NBA face type, status or whatnot. Generally, we say, sport players that are to that level that we were talking about, they generally have to be accomplished or something. Many times they have to win a championship. Clark, obviously, she has not won a championship. She didn't even win a championship at college, although when I look at her college career, it's almost like Clark and Iowa versus the better LSU squad or who's it? South Carolina. They were better teams. They was better full teams. Iowa was just Clayton Clark and the crew, almost like the 07 Cavs with LeBron and them. So, but she still hasn't accomplished anything in the WNBA yet. But yet her fandom is just so high. I can't. I mean, there's players in the NBA like Luka is one of them, but we say like Luka's an international, but he's not American, so I guess he won't be on the list. Only one I can. You brought up Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, I don't see a lot of love outside of Kansas City fans.
He turns to turnstiles because you guarantee if the Chiefs coming to play but that's different in football.
And keep in mind, last year, all the hate that Kansas City was got, so he's like the bad guy right now.
Yeah, but he's a bad guy. But if he's coming to your city, you still gonna pay money to see that bad guy because you respect his greatness as a quarterback. You can't deny it. So that's why ticket prices will even be higher when Kansas City comes to your city because you'll be paying to watch a quarterback like that.
Yeah, but most of those cities, unless you're like a team that's perennially in the toilet, they're filling those stadiums in it. I mean, NFL is so popular. I don't know if it necessarily matters. Jetson John's going to come out. Is Patrick Mahomes going to sell out Giant Stadium or Dallas? I mean, is Dallas?
I brought the point up a couple of weeks ago when I brought up, because here in Dallas, the Dallas Wings play in Arlington. That's their, small, it's a rather small university, but that's their home court. They have one game in the AAC, and that's when they play the Fever. That's the only game because of Caitlin Clark. Okay, now, and I brought up the point when the Cowboys, you can tell how important the team is if you look at the ticket prices. It was more evident in Houston because when the Texans were playing bad, they tickets were cheap. But I see it more here in Dallas when Dallas is out the playoff run. So when they play a team like the Giants or say the Jaguars, who are not in a playoff run,
right.
Tickets will be cheaper. But if they play a team like the Chiefs or the Eagles, and these teams are currently in the playoff run, especially if both teams are in a playoff run, you will see prices go up for those respective teams.
But not so much prices, but I guess in terms of tickets. So are you saying that there are games where Dallas, where they don't, I'm saying, but so most Dallas games are not sellouts is what you're saying? Unless it's for the...
I think they all sell. I don't know how I don't know how much.
Nah, because remember, NFL used to have blackout rules if you didn't have at least
you know,
2/3 of your
the Cowboys
stadium
don't have no
full.
blackout
Has that
rules for
ever
a lot of their
happened in
games.
Dallas?
Nah, 'cause you know a lot of their games are national, so they ain't no
Right. So
blackout
So I'm
rules.
saying, so that's what you some teams you can't count in this because they don't move the bar. Caitlin Clark literally doubled attendance over every venue that was
Yeah, I see what
there.
you're saying. I see. So with NFL, it's you really can't because they going NFL is NFL. They only have what 8 home games many times a year, so they're gonna go. I guess the only way you could tell in NFL is the ticket price amount. That's the main thing I can look at because they if Cowboy Stadium can hold 70,000 people, 70,000 people gonna be in there, you know, because it's the
Right.
Cowboys. But
Right.
the ticket prices will tell you where it is. With Caitlin Clark, you don't have to worry about the ticket prices. You just look at the attendance.
Yeah.
And obviously that's why I brought up the Wings because they moved the game to a whole different venue for that one game versus the Fever because of Clark. So
Right.
that's an obvious change because right now I don't know. Caitlin Clark, even though she hasn't accomplished nothing yet as far as championships, nobody moves the needle like Clark right now. I mean, it's
Exactly.
it's like you know.
Let's
I
get
can't think of a player.
let's get coaching here. So again, so the specifically American superstar. So again, if take KD, LeBron, and Steph out of it, could we be left with Caitlin Clark being the only American superstar by what we define as superstar in American sports? Because again, I know Anton mentioned NASCAR. Again, I know NASCAR is big, especially in the South, but I don't think you're getting that national ID like that with NASCAR. Football, you might get close with some of these quarterbacks or whatnot, but I don't know if Lamar so even the Bills quarterback, I don't know if those guys would get that sense marketing wise. So I don't see a lot of these guys in national. I never saw Lamar Jackson in a national TV commercial. I don't know if you guys have. So what are your thoughts on that, Coach? In terms of superstar status?
I think that's for some different reason with Lamar, but
possibly, but
yeah,
Coach.
He's on Gatorade commercials, but looking at comparing it to the men, I would say she's probably the biggest superstar who's sort of transcending the sport of basketball. No other player coming in the league outside of LeBron really made a shift like her. She's brought butts to the seats. She's filling up stadiums just to be a part of it. And she has the game to back it up. So I think with some of the other players, choosing to not be in that spotlight sets a bad precedent. But if you're looking at her, yeah, she's if it was my daughter, I'd be like, go ahead. But she has the game though. It's not like, she's throwing up shots and shit half everything, going into basketball. Yeah, salute to her, man. At this point, she is that one. Because
And I add this one thing because Clark just came off an injury. Well, she was like out like 2 weeks.
Yeah, she came back and she had
2 weeks, the ratings dropped like 55%.
Right.
So.
Yeah. So I'm just wondering, who's going to be, who's going to be next, and it could be her. Vanessa, you had another point? Like, you want to say something?
I said in the beginning, I facetiously said Archie Manning. I do think that because I do honestly think at this point, anyone who is going to be a superstar probably just hasn't had the chance yet, right? I think, like, for example, I think Shedeur Sanders has the potential to be a marketing gem for the NFL, right? Like, he could accidentally become the face of the league
just based on his story of falling to the 5th round. His father is Deion Sanders. And I'm gonna knock on wood, like, you know what I'm saying? God bless. I ain't about to wish nothing on nobody, but you know what I'm saying? Deion been going through his own thing health-wise. So then that adds a whole nother layer to his storyline in terms of NFL marketing. And if he actually comes out here for the Browns, like say he takes the Browns to the playoffs and win a playoff game, like then again, Archie Manning, like he has the whole legacy. His father played, his granddaddy played in the league. He got his both of Peyton and Eli both are Super Bowl champions. Like I think that whoever is going to be the superstar is not going to be who we're looking at right now, because I think a lot of the players that we're looking at right now have this treat me like a superstar, but don't give me superstar expectations, right? Everybody wants to be respected in a way, but don't want to do the work to be respected in a way. Like it just seems like everybody wants to be number one without maintaining number one standards. So I think whoever is like, because to keep it a being with you, I don't know if Caitlyn gonna stay healthy enough to be the American superstar. Like we've seen the health issues that Steph Curry has with him being a shooter. Her game is basically the same as Steph Curry's, and their ankles are made of glass. So whoever's going to take over is probably somebody that we just have not seen yet, and that's what I'm going to be hopeful for.
Indeed.
Because that Canadian thing that you pulled up, Americans can laugh if they want to, but the way these foreign basketball players are coming out, that's about to be us very soon.
Well, we talked about it last
For
week
sure.
about that new All-Star format that the commission's trying to bring, that USA versus the world. That'll give us a glimpse on how I know we got the Olympics, but the Olympics is different because a lot of those other foreign teams, they played with each other a whole lot longer than our guys trying to come together in 2 or 3 weeks to go win a gold medal. But
For sure.
that All-Star game is gonna be interesting to see that.
Yeah. I think it'll, at least for the first time, I think it'll draw eyeballs, and if they play hard, then I think you may be able to get some attendance back. Speaking of the NBA, I do want to talk about quickly, and I got one more throwaway segment before we end the show. Obviously, there was a big trade that took place. So again, the Memphis Grizzlies traded Desmond Bane certainly to Orlando for Cole Anthony, Condavious Caldwell-Pope, and 4 again future picks. I don't know. It's like my thing is now, do teams even care about picks anymore? I mean, you saw what the Knicks did. They gave away 4 first-round picks for Bridges. I mean, you used to trade those kind of picks for superstars like the KDs, or for those type of people who you would think would be deserving of that. But it's almost like these teams, do they even care anymore? It's like, get the player that we need to win now. Or if we think, because Orlando, I guess they're figuring to be very competitive next year. We saw what they could potentially be. I guess if they looked at Bane as maybe the missing piece, you don't know with the Celtics if Tatum's going to be coming back healthy. We'll see what happens with Indiana and Cleveland if they could run it back. But it just seems like teams are just willing to give up assets in ways for players that I just don't see what the value is. But what were your thoughts on this trade? And who really benefits? I don't see how Memphis benefits from this. If they're gonna, they're basically saying, look, we're just gonna tear down the Ja Morant project, and who knows, mate, they might be shopping him soon, and maybe just tear the whole thing down. But Shawnee, what was your thoughts on the trade, and just overall how teams have just been just very loose with these, like they don't care about these draft picks like they used to?
One, I didn't know Desmond Bane came with that type of a price tag. So, he's a good, he's a solid player. I think he's going to improve the Magic. He's going to, his presence is going to be felt by lack of presence. It's going to be felt by the Grizzlies. Can't really. So far, I guess it's just the way the Grizzlies are rolling right now, because they did fire their head coach who was successful. Like at a weird time of the season. So I guess the Grizzlies right now, they I think they're saying they're not trying to tank or whatnot, whatever they said. You know how teams when they make a controversial trade. Yeah, I saw with the Mavericks when they traded Luka. They make this big trade, and then you like, man, the fan base be like, man, what are you doing? They try to spin together some whatever reasoning, whatnot. But yeah, I didn't know Desmond Bain came with that type of a price tag. So
Yeah, I was kind of floored by this.
but
Finette, yeah.
it's just they with the draft picks thing. It's almost like right now, I guess if you're because Orlando is an up and coming team. I think they're gonna be making the playoffs at least. And right now, the way the NBA is, man, it's like if you don't have a lottery pick, I'm like, unless you just a team that is good at developing talent, it's like a lot of these players now when they come in, man, just like the only chance you really have to really improve your roster if you have a lottery pick. Now, granted, there's players that pick after the lottery that go on to be, but that's if your franchise have the patience to have them. A lot of
Mm.
these players now that come into the league, man, they come as projects. Like I know they always projects, but because they always leave in college so early, they're not really developed. So you don't really know what you're getting. So he's like, yeah, just trade these first round picks. They probably if Orlando going to finish in the playoffs, they probably picking in the
In
20s
20s.
anyway.
Yeah.
So like they may not be useful in them. It's not like the NFL, but you traded 4 first round picks. Your GM, he better have his bags packed right beside him because if this don't work, you immediately fired. But in basketball, because these players is so much hit and miss outside that lottery, it's just like, yeah, sometimes I be thinking first round picks are expendable at times.
Wow. Wow. Coach, what's your thoughts on that? On the trade and just, is what Shawnee's saying too, unless you get someone in the top 5 or 6 picks, are first round picks even worth it like they used to be?
Yeah, I think first round picks always hold some weight because even if you don't use it, you can always use them as an asset in another trade in the future because teams are always trying to revitalize, their team every few years. I would definitely, the fact that, like you mentioned, just the Knicks giving up all those first round picks, it's going to come down to a time where it haunts them over the next few years because you see what you're getting out of Miles Bridges. I don't know. Again, a GM with that type of mindset, they'll never win. So, I would, I'm not surprised by. I was surprised by the Bain trade, because I thought, coming into the new season, they would have a chance to sort of just continue to build with that team. But it must have been something going on. And Ja, I don't know, if he don't stop hanging around his homeboys and figuring it out, then he may be over playing at the Park League with me, talking about what he used to do because, I don't think he has too many chances left. So he got to get his character together. So, but yeah, I don't know.
Absolutely. Finesse, your thoughts on the trade and just the state of draft picks? Is it are they even worth it anymore in sort of as far as the NBA?
In terms of the trade, Desmond Bain's last season averaged 19 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists. From point guard, I think that's decent. I think that's nice. For 4 draft picks, I think it's kind of crazy. Okay. Like when you look at a team like Oklahoma City, they've been sitting on draft picks for years, and that's why they look the way they do right now. Boston has been sitting on draft picks for years. That's why they look the way that they do. Unfortunately, Philly also has been sitting on draft picks for years, but they look the way that they do. Okay. So for Orlando might have like a Philly type of thing where they don't need all of them draft picks. They're going to try and work the money however they can to get it. Because I'm looking at this roster right now, and to be honest with you, this entire team is making me rethink the center position entirely. Like I don't understand who in this organization said, let's get rid of the next 4 years of our first round with no 5. Like there's no center. The biggest person they have is listed as a forward center at 6'10". Like teams like this confuse me about basketball sometimes. So
Yeah.
when you see a team like Orlando do some shit like this, it's just, hey, we just trying to do whatever we can to be at least competitive. Because they did make the play. They have a chance to make the playoffs next year. That's cool, but they just doing what they can to not get pushed into the background like the Jazz are right now.
Yeah.
They try not to be the Jazz. That's why they made this trade.
Well, I have
That's what
this
it looks like to me.
I have this question for you, Finesse. So, because Orlando is another small market team that's on the level of OKC and Indiana, and with that means they not huge free agent targets. So they're not going to be getting the free agents that come that the big name free agents will be attracting them and whatnot. So they do have to get a little bit more creative with their rosters, constructing their roster because they trying stuff just.
But to get rid of 4 draft picks for a point guard, like it's just one of those things. Like again, Desmond, like you said it. You didn't know Desmond Bain. This is the player. You know what I'm saying? So I understand thinking outside of the box, but don't think outside of the box and fall into somebody's pocket. Like don't go out of a box.
I mean, I would say if you're like a Devin Booker or something like that, I would say, okay, I can kind of see that, but
if they did KD, I would get that. Like KD for 4 first rounds, that makes perfect sense.
Hang on. No, Finesse. You were kind of shading them last week. Now,
if you're Orlando, I'm saying if you're
I'm
Orlando,
just saying, but you, bro, you good.
If you're Orlando, is what I'm saying. But again,
Gotcha.
I think Orlando they're doing some Philadelphia 76ers type of thing where they think it makes sense, but it's really kind of stupid and it's not gonna work out. I mean, like you said, think outside of the box. I get it, but
trust the process. Trust the process.
That process gone. That process gone.
All right, guys.
If there's any process that works, it's Oklahoma City Thunder.
I got you.
Exactly.
I got you. Yep. All right. Last topic of the show. Again, just throw this out there. And again, we're going to have more opportunities in the near future to talk about just random stuff. So, whatever you guys want to talk about, certainly drop it to us. We'll consider the link. I found this. And again, all of us being football fans. So the question is, who had the best NFL nickname ever? All right. So again, you got Broadway Joe. We talked about Joe Namath earlier. Prime, Sweetness, Megatron, Beast Mode. So just who's your personal favorite? And it doesn't necessarily have to be your favorite player, but just which nickname just kind of resonated the best with you. When you were growing watching some of these guys play. I know some of these guys you weren't too young enough to see play, but certainly some of these guys, or someone else who may not be on this list right now. But who do you think gets the nod? And we'll just kind of go to that. Take a survey. Those in the chat, if you want to drop in yours, who had the best nickname? Got the playmaker. Michael Irvin. So who's your favorite? We'll just go down the list, and then we'll look to close out the show. Brother Anton, I'm sorry. I dropped the link several times, so I'm sorry if you couldn't get the link. Hopefully we can fix that next time for you to come up. But again, appreciate you being an active part of the chat tonight as well. But just for those who are remaining in the chat, your favorite nickname NFL player. So we'll start with Finesse, and we'll just go down the line. And we'll just close out the show.
As the young guy here on the panel today, I'll say that the nickname that sticks with me all the time is the Bus. Jerome Bettis.
Jerome Bettis. There you go. Steelers.
That was my childhood of getting into becoming a football fan, being a Steelers fan, and everything like that. And that big motherfucker would run through anything.
I hear you.
Yeah.
Coach. Who's
First
your guy?
of all, whoever made this list is disrespectful to football.
Okay, so who's your guy?
Disrespectful. I'm gonna give one, Shawnee. Y'all might not even been around. You probably keep Finesse. I know you want to. Billy White Shoes Johnson.
Oh, come on! From the Oilers, from the Houston Oilers.
Billy White Shoes Johnson, one of the best. And who? I'm gonna go with that one for now because I had another name that I can't even think of the top of my head. But Billy White C. Johnson. Oh, come on, man. We can't forget about the juice, man. What are we talking about? What
I think a lot of people are trying to forget about the juice. But yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Good, great choices, especially OJ. Shout out to him. Certainly one of the best. Regardless of whatever, he's still in my top 5 greatest running backs of all time. So you can't deny his accomplishments. Shawnee, what says you here?
Yeah,
Favorite?
OJ is just.
Yeah, I'm saying your favorite nicknames. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, and just pick back up that OJ thing. Yeah, unfortunately, everybody. You think of OJ now, you think of after his career, but people forget that was a hell of a running back. He was
not ridiculous.
he was,
and the crazy thing, he got the 2,000 yards, one in a 14-game season. So to me, no one's breaking that record unless you do the 2,000 yards in 14 games. You are not the all-time rushing leader. I'm sorry, you get an asterisk on everything. He did that in 14 games. On an offense that was awful. You knew he was getting the ball, and they still couldn't stop him. So unless someone can show me that, I know Adrian Peterson, some of these guys out here, even Barkley balled out. Yes, he did the matrix moves and all that kind of stuff. I get it, but I'm sorry. You got to go back and watch some OJ's running, some plays. Go to NFL films and watch some of that stuff. Unstoppable when you knew he was the only option the Bills had. They had an awful quarterback. The only thing they had was that line, and he did it in 14 games. I can't stress that enough. So until somebody does that, then, I'm sorry. Every other person who breaks the record, that's an asterisk. That's almost like with the MLB going to 162 games. The guy, Roger Maris, he did it in 151. You got to factor that in with these guys. So Shawnee, your thoughts on
this list? I say Megatron because it fit him. Because Calvin Johnson, the way he was just like this prototype receiver. Then you start seeing, I think Calvin Johnson was kind of like that first receiver that just turned into like a freak of nature. Their size, their speed. Because then you saw Andre Johnson, who fit that same mold. Then you saw Julio Jones fit that same mold. Then you even got DK Metcalf, who's in that same mold. Now, productivity, he's not there yet. But just Megatron and just this freakazoid athlete at the receiver position, he had the speed, the strength, the size, the jumping ability. It's just like, so it's like he was put together like a Megatron or Voltron. I thought it was going to be.
I'll just drop mine now. Yes, because I am a Gen Xer and because I'm a lifelong Transformers fan, Megatron gets the nod over everybody. More than meets the eye. Gotta love that. If I had a second choice, I may go Beast Mode. That was special when Beast Mode would do his thing as well. So again, shout out to shout out these guys. But I must give the last word to Coach. Coach going all the way back to the XFL days. And so if you guys remember the first incarnation of the XFL, there was this player, he hate me on the XFL. So I remember, so he jarred my memory there too. So shout out to Coach for keeping the XFL alive in this conversation. But guys, we're gonna wrap up the show. Appreciate you guys being with us tonight. So again, looking forward to Game 6 tomorrow night. Hopefully Indy can pull it out. We have something to talk about next week for Game 7. But again, certainly appreciate you guys being on. Just make sure you guys, again, hit the like button, certainly as you leave the place. And again, certainly look forward to next week. Our brother Dante, again, do what you got to do, brother. Hopefully we'll get a chance to see you next week. And hopefully we can get your post-show comments on the Lakers trade and anything that's going on with Dallas and the like. But certainly for my guy, Finesse Visions, for Shawnee, for Coach Ferg, I'm Mr. Bennett. This is the One-on-One Short Sports Show on the Black Men Unfiltered Network. You guys enjoy the rest of your week. Take care. God bless. And we'll see you next time.